congratulate our co-awardees, Mr. Lam Wing Ki and human rights lawyer. I don't remember the name, but represented by the wife tonight. I really admire your work, your courage, your persistence in fighting for human rights for Chinese people. I believe that this honor must belong to Vietnam human rights activists inside Vietnam, because they themselves have been facing the communist dictatorship. And that's why I would like to introduce to you some of those brave people. They are coming today to share with you some ideas, some experience in the Vietnamese Gulag. First of all, I'd like to introduce Mr. Thãm. Please come. Mr. Thãm was sentenced to life in prison in 1977 for participating in a democratic movement in Vietnam. He was released after spending 20 years in forced labor camp, thanks to Amnesty International intervention. He has been settled in the US since 2006. Now he is the chairman of Vietnam Political and Religious Prisoner Fellowship Association. He is also author of several books on Vietnamese history and politics. He is a member of International PAN. Here is Mr. Thãm.
Good evening, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let us bow down to the democratic fighter who sacrificed their lives in the Thiên Square massacre. Secondly, we would like to sincere thank to Visual Artists Group and Vietnam Human Rights Network for inviting Vietnam Political and Religious Prisoner Association to attend this solemn ceremony. As a former political prisoner, sentenced to life and spent 20 years in Vietnamese communist prison, with 9 years of shackle in the real hell on earth, and 11 years of forced labor, I would like to take this opportunity to denounce before the world public opinion what I witnessed. From 1975 to 1985, the Vietnamese communists executed more than 300 political prisoners, including 2 priests and 2 women, Mr. Trần Thị Lan and 8 prisoners were executed by firing squad. The Communist China and the Communist Vietnam has signed most international agreements related to human rights, but they still systematically violate them. The Thiên massacre, as well as the communist regime execution of Vietnam political prisoners, are a crime against humanity. On the behalf of Vietnam Political and Religious Prisoner Association, once again, we bow down to commemorate the fighter for the democracy perished in Thiên Square massacre and the democratic fighter of Vietnam who has sacrificed their life for the ideal of the freedom. Let us pray for the people of the China and the people of the Vietnam. May freedom and human rights replace the barbaric communist regime. Thank you.
Secondly, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Huỳnh Nguyên Dao. In 2007, Mr. Huỳnh Nguyên Dao was sentenced to 2 years and 6 months in prison and 2 years under house arrest for participating in a non-violent dissident group. He was released after serving the full sentence and continued his pro-democracy and human rights activities. Under threat of being rearrested, he fled to Thailand and was offered political asylum in the US. Now Mr. Dao is a member of Vietnam Human Rights Network and a freelance writer for the Thiên online magazine.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. When the Tiananmen Square massacre occurred 1989, I was a student from Saigon. I had very clear feeling about the democratic opposition of my peer in Peking. Since then, a generation of Tiananmen had emerged in Hong Kong, Vietnam, and many other Asian countries. The spirit of Tiananmen had inspired most young Vietnamese, including me, to get involved in fighting for freedom and democracy. I student that the blood of the Tiananmen victim had illusion many with the belief in self-transformation of communists into the regime. I personally spent most of my prison time in solitary confinement, being transferred from prison to prison. Those hard years cannot when my belief that democratic causes will prevail and human rights must be respected. But the most important thing I want to share with all the y'all here tonight. You, the Chinese who have been committed to a true democratic, believe that blood and tears poured out and Tiananmen Square in 1989 remain forever in the human concern. Thank you for listening.
And the last one, I would like to introduce Mr. Vu Quang Hai. In 2006, Mr. Vu, together with a number of friends, founded Bandakya Foundation, a group of young social welfare activists. He also joined Bloc 8406, a larger group democracy activists founded by Father Darius Winmanli. Mr. Vu was arrested and sentenced to 2 years in